Assalamualaikum dan selamat sejahtera. Kita ucapkan kepada Madam Ashlah. Pada hari ini, saya dan rakan panel, Nasrul Azizi, akan mendengar ramah saudara Witness Warid tentang kesan kolonialisasi Barat terhadap pembangunan tamadun India. Tanpa membuang masa lagi, saya akan tanyakan soalan pertama kepada saudara Vicky. Jadi, saudara Vicky, adakah anda tahu maksud kolonisasi ataupun colonization?
Okay. Colonization is when one group or country takes control of another place. So they create their own towns, influence or the economy, and make the people there follow their culture. Besides that, they also follows by language and laws. So, for example, think of a European countries like Britain, France, and the Dutch, setting up colonies in different parts of the world.
Okay, thank you for the answer. Next, I would like to give you the second question would be, can you explain a specific time when all this event happened in the past history?
Of course. Okay, for example, a famous example is when the British Empire took control of India. They started in the 17th century and went on for nearly around 200 years. So the British East India Company and later the British government ruled over some Indian lands. So they changed how things were run, made English an important language, and impacted many parts of Indians' life.
Okay. Then I would like to ask the last question, which will be, how do you think Western colonialism affected the development of India?
Okay, thank you for the question. Western colonialism made a big impact on India's development. It caused major changes in their culture, society, and economy. So the British, for example, introduced new ways of running the country, changed how education worked, and even planned how cities should be built. The influence is still shapes India today. Also during this time, there was an exchange of India's ideas and technology that helped the India's progress.
Baik, terima kasih kepada saudara Vicky. Terima kasih semua.
2, 1. Hi, Dr. Dimple. Thank you for joining us for this interview session. Would you like to give a short introduction of yourself?
Hi, Ram. I'm Dr. Dimple Krishna Kumar, and I'm a practicing dentist, currently working in private sector.
All right, thank you for your introduction. So we only have 3 questions. We'll go through them. So, do you know about how Western colonialism affected different countries or regions in the past?
Yeah, I'm aware of how Western colonial powers like Britain, France, Portugal had a big impact on places they colonized. Like, they often use the source of these areas change how they governed and influenced their cultures.
Thank you for your answer. Let's go directly into the second question. Can you give me an example of how colonialism has changed the culture or history of a specific country or region?
Well, Britain have ruled over India for 2 centuries, if you know, and they made a big changes in how the India was run, like introduce English language and affect Indian traditions and their society.
All right, thank you. For the last question, can you share an example about that backs up your idea about how Western colonialism affected Indian civilization?
Okay, how British have changed the education policy, shaped the Indians' modern education, how India was economically exploited during the colonial times, and how the leaders like Mahatma Gandhi fought for the independence. Historians like Bipin Chandra and Rajat Kanta Rai have written a lot about this in their books actually.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Dimple. Thank you for your time. That will be all.
Bye.
Have a good evening.
Bye bye.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nuhidatul Alia. So today I will interview my good friend Anis to explore the profound impact of colonization and outside influences on different part of a society. So here today, my knowledgeable friend uh, is here to shed light on this fascinating topic. So let's dive in.
Thank you, Alia. So, colonialism, in a sense, can be described as control by one power over a dependent area or people. And it occurs when one nation subjugates another, often imposing its own language and cultural values on the colonized population. So, for example, did you know that Japan, Korea, and Thailand are among the few nations that have never been colonized by Europeans? So this exemplifies the interconnected concepts of colonialism and imperialism, where one nation seeks to control another.
Oh, I see. So that's an interesting insight. Next question I would like to ask, could you please point out like specific areas of Indian civilization that were greatly impacted by the Western colonialism?
Sure. Western colonialism, particularly British colonial rule, left an indelible mark on various aspects of Indian civilizations. So the most significant changes occurred in areas such as governance, education, language, and architecture. So the first one is the language and education. So the British introduced a modern education system in India, emphasizing Western style education. So this system laid the foundation for India's contemporary education structure, with schools, colleges, and universities following a similar model. And the second one is the legal and administrative systems. Many of the administrative structures and institutions established during British colonial rule, such as the Indian Administrative Service, which is the IAS, continue to shape India's administrative landscape. And the third one is the architectural and urban planning. The layout and the development of cities during the colonial period were influenced by Western urban planning principles. So this influence is evident in the design of some Indian cities with planned areas and infrastructure. So to sum up, Western colonialism has left a lasting legacy on various facets of Indian civilization. So like reshaping governance, language, education, and urban planning, and introducing new legal and administrative systems. So the economic impact, both positive and negative, continues to be felt today, and the cultural exchange during this period contributed to the rich diversity of modern India.
All right, so that's it. Thank you so much, Anis, for enlightening this interview today on how colonization and outside influences can affect different part of a society. So that's all for the interview today. Thank you.
First, I want to welcome Dana Silan, and thank you for joining us for this interview today. So let's start first lah. Let's start it. The
Yes,
first question is, apakah itu penjajahan?
okay. Actually, colonization is when a group or a country that takes control of another place, which influences its culture, language, and laws.
Alright, thank you. Concise answer. Right. The next question is, bolehkah kamu memberikan contoh penjajahan daripada sejarah?
I mean, okay, one of the famous empire which takes control over India is the British Empire.
Yeah, British.
Yes.
Alright, thank you. Then this my final question for me is, adakah anda memahami konsep kesan jangka panjang dalam sejarah?
Yes, I do. Actually, the long-term effects in history means the lasting impacts of events or their processes which affects a society um, or region for a longer time. So these effects can be good or bad and influences various aspects like the politics, culture, the economy, and the society of the country.
All right, thank you very much. Now I pass it on to Wazin to tell the rest of the questions.
Jadi soalan keempat adalah, bolehkah anda memberikan contoh peristiwa ataupun sejarah yang memberi impak yang besar dan impak tersebut memberi kesan dalam jangka masa yang panjang?
Sure. Think about the Industrial Revolution in the 18th and 19th century. Actually, it changed how people work, where they live, and then the technology they use. So these changes actually still affect the world today.
Dan soalan yang terakhir, apakah kesan jangka masa panjang dari segi baik dan buruk kolonisasi British kepada India?
Okay. So the Western colonialism in India actually have mixed results. So when we go for the positive side, actually it set up a better system of government and improved the economy in some ways. But when we go for the negative side, actually it led to a loss of traditional industries and unfair economic practices. And actually it causes a deep social division that still exists in India.
Right. Thank you, Denison, for joining us today and giving us your astute insight into penjajahan British to India. Thank you very much.
Hi, Tines. I'm Anzili. My friend here is Muhammad Hazim.
Yeah, let's carry on with the interview.
Okay, so aku tanya soalan di bahasa. So, Tines, tahu tak penjajahan ini dalam sejarah apa maksud dia?
Okay, can I answer in English if it's possible?
Yeah,
Yes,
can.
yes, no problem.
Yeah, okay, so thank you so much. Okay, colonialism, we call it, I mean, the same word lah when it comes to English, colonialism. So what is this? This is colonization, to my understanding, basically just going out and instead of learning culture, they go and force their culture and steal the other people's culture.
Oh, I see. Alright. So, Tines, boleh tak bagi tahu macam mana penjajahan ni dia boleh affect specific place or group?
Well, I would say that when, for example, we can just take British, when they go and colonize a country, they kind of force them into doing whatever the British people do. So it's easy for the British people to colonize them, to rule them. So ultimately, over the years, even though the colonization is over and now people are free, they've got their freedom. Still, whatever the ancestors learned from this British and during the colonization is what these people are following at the same time. So whatever the culture that they brought in, the modernization that we are living right now, I would say most of them are copied from those westerns that our ancestors went through, something that we are following right now. Maybe it's just the clothes, or maybe it's the food that we eat. So it has actually affected us a lot that it is happening in our daily lives.
I see. Dia macam British introduce something and then they're still affecting kita sampai masa sekarang.
Yeah.
Alright. Untuk last question, Zili boleh tanya.
Ya, alright. Ini soalan akhir. Pada pendapat anda, bagaimanakah penjajahan mempengaruhi India pada hari ini dan hubungannya dengan negara Barat?
All right. So I would say when British came in to India and then they colonized the country, they were basically it is a big country. It's a big country with a lot of people. It is known for being one of the countries with a lot of people, one of the biggest population in the world. And they were successful in colonizing them, that they influenced them so much that so many things that is happening right now is all through the colonization that happened long ago. The culture that the people in India that they are following, the governing system, everything it has at least a tint of the Western's, the British style there is. It has influenced in the women's right, the economic disparities, especially in the rural areas. This just shows the need for ongoing decolonization efforts, because if you don't do that, then there is no originality. There is no, uh, you are not following your own rules, your own following, but rather you're following something that is not belong to you, and even worse, was something that was brought by people who ruled you once, who put your ancestors as slaves. So definitely it is something that we need to take to note, that it is something that has affected a lot, influenced a lot, and we should definitely get out of it and live our life our own way.
I see. Quite strong opinion you have there. So Tines, so thank you untuk interview ni.